Alright, here are the RC boat parts we're going to try and polish today in the vibrating bowl. You can see they're fairly heavily oxidized from years of just sitting in a container in some widow's basement, actually. They're made somewhere in the 80s or around in there at some point, we believe. It's quite weird yellow tint to it. So we'll show the bowl that we're using and the polish we're using, and you can then see afterwards what it looks like. Okay, we are at my actual house in my garage now because I actually use this for my hobby of cleaning up and restoring pinball machines. So I leave that at home for my stuff. So I brought all these parts home now and gonna dump them in here. And then we'll add in the key secret ingredient. Not really a secret, but still awesome ingredient to add to it. And that is the Flitz Tumbler Media Additive. This will put a really good shine on it. I'm using corn cob media right here. It's very soft media. You can actually see over here I have some walnut stuff, which is a little more coarse, but I hardly ever need to use that. We'll see how this goes. If there's any of these that don't do so well, we may run them again in the walnut, but most of the time for this stuff, the corncob media is all that's needed along with the little Flitz. And before you pour the Flitz in too, always shake the bottle up and make sure it's good and mixed and hasn't separated. That was probably a little too much there. Got a little overexcited with it. That should probably be enough for that. I put the lid on top of it and then start her up. I set it on the floor because it could vibrate itself right off. And it's going really good. I should have probably taken a picture of what it looks like when it's doing inside, so I shall do that real quick. And the other reason I have it in the garage is because it can create a lot of dust. And you really don't want that in your house, making a mess. Okay, I'm going to start it back up again so you can kind of see what it does. Took the lid off here again. And if you're wondering, am I just saying use the Flitz stuff because I also sell it on my store? No. Look over here. Those are 2 empty bottles that I've used up and everything because I run so much stuff. That's how much I like it. So I really recommend it. So, all right, we'll plug her back in here and you'll see what happens. Polish pumping up, but after a while it'll dry out some and spread into other granules and you won't see it anymore. So it's nothing to worry about. But I'm going to let this go. I'll plug it and put the lid back on. I'm going to let this go for about 4 hours. See how she goes. If it's still not good in 4 hours, I'll probably just let it go then overnight. Alright, it's been 4 hours now. We'll see how it is out in this frigid garage on a snowy day in Minnesota. Alright, so here's what it looks like now. Now we'll go find some parts. Oh, hey, there we go. There's one already. And this is fairly typical. Stuff will get impacted in there. Usually not a big deal. You can usually get it out. Well, there's a big wad in that one. That's a big wad of the polish, so that might have to go in a little bit longer. We have to take something to get some of that out. But so far it's not looking too bad. It can get better. Look at that one. Once again, there's stuff getting impacted in the holes there. Oh, this one I forgot to remove the set screws out of. Normally I try and remove the set screws out. There'll be some stuff built up in there. That's actually, it's looking pretty good. I could probably say that's good enough. I think we'll leave it in for maybe an hour or two more and should be good. And I'd normally clean these off a little bit too. Oh, this one is not getting so good. It's got a lot of stuff still on it. This one may be one that needs to be in the walnut. That one I would say is not so great yet either. That one as well. So I think overall there's only a few. And actually when we've hand polished some of these, the ones that always come out the best, I've actually always been these for some reason, slightly different metal or something, they seem to come out better. But I think looking at what we got here, I think we're going to leave these in for at least overnight, and so I don't have to come back out and check it again in the middle of the night, and we'll see how they are in the morning. Here we go, check number 2. This has been overnight. It's 7:30 in the morning on the way to work. See what we got here. Ooh, you can see that is a lot darker than it was before. Let's take a look here. And that's definitely a lot nicer looking than before. Just needs to be cleaned a little bit to get all the residue off there. Dust and stuff. But yeah, those are looking much better. So we'll let that go and we'll empty it out. And let's see here, I'll show some more pictures later. But yeah, everything's looking. Okay, so the parts are all done. Now I need to get them out. And I don't want to dig around inside, so best thing to do is to take off the rubber nut. Eventually, there we go. Take the bowl off. Now I'm gonna put the top back on. Come over to the bag we got here. I'm gonna throw that in there. Alright, and then we're just gonna dump her out. Uh-oh. All right, try number 2. Oh man. Rock it. There we go. Step that on the knee. Alright, I'm going to pause this. Okay, after dumping everything out, there we go. And you can see how nice and shiny most of these parts are now. Be a few of them that may need a little work. But yeah, they're ready to go. And then I'll have to actually check some of the holes and get some of the corncob media out of some of the holes. Like, focus, that one right there. I have a little, stick like thing, just poke in there and get that out. And you may have somebody ask something this way. Not all the time, but you have some of those you'll have to do. So I keep another bag handy to put that stuff in, save it. Here are the parts, all polished up now. Or actually, not all of them are. What you saw earlier, some of them I had to put back and run them again, because after I got them inside, I realized they just weren't that good. So I'll put them in for another 6 hours, actually, to get what you see here. And I'll show you kind of the difference then. So over here, these went in for another 6 hours right here. These were off that first run. Then over here, you see what they look like before they ever went in. So there's kind of a good transition. Right out of the storage container they'd been sitting in for a decade. or more. The overnight through the polisher, and then overnight plus another 6 hours on that one. And actually, this is the worst one. This one's got a little bit on it. If you look at one of the other ones, that one even looks even better. Same thing over here. Line these babies up. You can get an idea. That. So before, overnight, and then overnight plus another 6 hours. Then over here, this is the overnight, and then here's another 6 hours. Then over here, this is the overnight, and then another 6 hours on top of that. And these over here actually didn't go so great no matter what I did. I don't know if it's something with the metal oxidation. You can see there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of difference between this overnight one and this one over here. This one got a little bit cleaner. But I say it's something with the steel. Did them in a different batch of steel. What is it? Some of you can see in some of these. See if I can find a good one. The tooling marks from the lathe. Can't do much about that. But focus. You can see right there that line. That's from tooling hitting the piece or bad piece. You know, very dull tooling, whatever. Some of that stuff doesn't then come out as clean when you have a mark like that, because the stuff doesn't polish down in the grooves. But there you go. Just throw them in, let them go for hours, maybe more. It also depends on how old your media is and how dirty it is. The longer it takes. My media is starting to get pretty old, so consequently it's not doing so good the first overnight. And I find when it starts to get older, it's 24 hours in the polisher to get it good. And I've used this media for a while now. I've used it for some lug nuts off the car, some chrome lug nuts, and then some pinball parts.